What does it take to go after a dream when the world tells you it's too late? Can sheer willpower, grit, and determination lead to greatness? Million Dollar Baby is the story of a woman who had nothing but a dream and the heart to pursue it, no matter the odds. Maggie Fitzgerald is a 31-year-old waitress with a fire inside her that refuses to be put out. She works long hours in a diner, collecting every tip and saving what little money she can. But Maggie's true passion isn't serving food, it's boxing. Most people would say she's too old to start a boxing career, that her time has passed. But Maggie isn't listening to the doubters. She's fueled by the belief that if she's given a shot, she'll make the most of it. All these years, boxing had been the only thing that gave her life meaning. Despite her age and the hardships that came with juggling long shifts and rigorous training, her heart belonged in the ring. She knew, however, that to truly make something of herself, she needed a trainer. But not just any trainer, she had set her sights on Frankie, a grizzled coach who had seen it all. Frankie was legendary, and Maggie believed that if anyone could help her, it was him. Frankie, though, had long since distanced himself from the emotional side of the sport. Frankie had trained champions, but he had also seen what the ring could do to people, the toll it could take. He had learned to keep his heart out of the game. On the day of one of Frankie's matches, his fighter was being savagely beaten by his opponent. Blood poured from the fighter's face, and despite all of Frankie's efforts to stop the bleeding, it wouldn't stop. With the fight slipping away, Frankie made a bold move. He applied some special ointment to his fighter's face and said, "Let him hit you." The fighter was shocked but did as Frankie instructed. He angled his injured cheekbone toward his opponent, and when the next punch landed, the bleeding stopped, sealing the wound shut. Revitalized, the fighter turned the tide and knocked out his opponent with a few brutal punches. Maggie had been watching the fight intently from the stands. She admired Frankie's quick thinking and command over the situation. When Maggie first approached him, asking to be trained, Frankie brushed her off. "I don't train girls," he said dismissively. He didn't want to get involved, and more than that, he didn't want to watch someone else get hurt. Maggie doesn't give up after Frankie's dismissal. She starts showing up at his gym, paying for 6 months of membership with the little money she's saved from her shifts. Night after night, she trains on her own, perfecting her punches, working on her form, and waiting for the chance to prove herself. Her dedication catches the eye of Eddie "Scrap Iron" Dupreez, a former fighter and the gym's janitor. Eddie sees something in Maggie that Frankie doesn't, a hunger, a will to fight that can't be taught. Eddie begins to give Maggie small tips, helping her refine her skills. Frankie continues to ignore Maggie, convinced that she's wasting her time. But no matter how many times she gets knocked down, Maggie gets back up. She works late nights at the diner, then heads to the gym to train until she's exhausted. She refuses to quit, even when the odds seem stacked against her. Maggie's attitude is one we can all learn from: success isn't always about talent or luck. Often, it's about showing up day after day, pushing yourself harder than you did the day before, and not backing down when things get tough. Frankie's initial reluctance to train Maggie mirrors the doubts we sometimes face in life. People may question our goals, our worth, or our ability to succeed, but the truth is, nobody knows your potential better than you. Like Maggie, sometimes you have to be the only one who believes in your dream until the world catches up. One night, Frankie hears the sound of punches late in the gym. It's Maggie, still training after everyone else has left. It happens to be her birthday, and Eddie tells Frankie this. For a brief moment, Frankie's hardened exterior cracks. He walks over to Maggie and talks to her, realizing that she's not just some fighter trying to make a name for herself, she's someone who is fighting for her life, for a sense of purpose. Maggie tells Frankie that boxing is the only thing she loves, and she knows she's running out of time. This moment hits Frankie, who finally agrees to train her, but on one condition: she must listen to everything he says and never question him. Maggie agrees, knowing this is the opportunity she's been waiting for. From that point on, Maggie's training under Frankie begins in earnest. The relationship between Frankie and Maggie is built on trust and mutual respect. Frankie starts to see Maggie's potential, but more importantly, he begins to care about her as a person. Their bond is more than just coach and fighter, it's about two people who need each other to fill a void in their lives. Maggie needs Frankie's expertise, and Frankie, though he won't admit it, needs someone like Maggie to remind him why he started training fighters in the first place. Through rigorous training sessions, Maggie starts to improve rapidly. She's not just tough, she's determined, and she absorbs everything Frankie teaches her like a sponge. Despite her progress, Frankie remains cautious. He knows the dangers of the sport, having seen it destroy the lives of fighters who weren't ready. But Maggie is relentless, and soon, she's ready for her first real fight. Maggie asked Frankie when she would get the chance to compete. Maggie's first fight is tough. Her opponent is more experienced, but Maggie's sheer willpower carries her through. She takes a beating but refuses to give up. With Frankie's guidance, she learns how to outlast her opponent, and in the end, she wins the fight. It's a turning point for her, proof that she belongs in the ring, that she's not just dreaming but living her reality. From there, Maggie's career begins to take off. Fight after fight, she wins, quickly rising through the ranks. Her tenacity and raw talent catch the attention of the boxing world. But it's not just her victories that make her stand out, it's her heart. She fights with everything she has, pouring her soul into every punch, every round. As Maggie climbs higher, Frankie remains protective. He knows the sport can be unforgiving, and he tries to shield her from the dangers that come with fame and success. But even he can't deny her talent. Maggie has become more than just a good fighter, she's a force to be reckoned with. Each victory feels like a step closer to her dream of becoming a champion. Maggie's journey reminds us that success isn't linear. It's full of setbacks, challenges, and moments when quitting seems easier than continuing. But those who succeed are the ones who keep moving forward, even when it hurts. Maggie's rise through the ranks seems unstoppable. With each victory, she solidifies her place in the boxing world. She becomes known for her power and determination, a fighter who refuses to back down. But as with any journey toward greatness, success brings new challenges. The stakes are higher, the opponents tougher, and the dangers more real. Frankie, ever the cautious coach, continues to worry about Maggie's well-being. He's seen too many fighters take one wrong hit and lose everything. Boxing is unforgiving, and while Maggie is winning, Frankie knows the risk of pushing too far too fast. But Maggie, filled with confidence from her wins, craves more. She's hungry for bigger challenges, ready to prove that she's not just a contender, she's a champion. It's here that we see an important lesson: success isn't just about winning, it's about managing the pressure and challenges that come with it. Maggie's winning streak catches the attention of top fighters, and soon, an offer comes in for her to fight Billy, the Blue Bear, for the WBA welterweight title. Billy is notorious for her brutal style in the ring. She fights dirty, with no regard for her opponent's safety. She's ruthless and willing to do whatever it takes to win, even if it means seriously hurting someone. Frankie is deeply conflicted about this offer. He knows how dangerous Billy is and that this fight could be a turning point for Maggie's career, but also for her life. Frankie was torn. He knew that if Maggie wanted to grow, if she truly wanted to make it to the top, she had to keep challenging herself. But he feared what might happen if she faced someone like Billy. Eddie, sensing Frankie's internal conflict, decided to take matters into his own hands. He suggested Maggie see a famous manager, someone who could take her career to the next level. Eddie told Maggie to think about her future. If she wanted to be at the top of the heap, maybe Frankie wasn't the best choice for her anymore. Maggie, however, refused to leave Frankie. She respected the manager Eddie recommended, but to her, Frankie was more than just a coach. He was family. No other trainer could ever replace him. In her next fight, Frankie brought Maggie a robe with "M.O. Quishel" embroidered on it. This became her code name when she fought, and soon the crowd would shout it whenever she entered the ring. Maggie continued to win, bringing home more money than she ever thought possible. Maggie uses her fight winnings to buy her mother a new house. She hopes it will make her family proud, that they'll see how far she has come and appreciate the sacrifices she's made. But when Maggie presents the house to her mother, she is met with harsh criticism. Her mother, instead of being grateful, complains that owning a house will jeopardize her welfare benefits. Despite her accomplishments in the ring, she longs for acceptance and love from her family, a love that always seems out of reach. This moment is a reminder that success doesn't always bring happiness, especially when the people closest to us don't support our dreams. But Maggie, ever resilient, doesn't let this rejection break her. Instead, she learns a hard truth: sometimes the family you choose like her relationship with Frankie, is stronger than the family you're born into. For many of us, this speaks to a deeper truth: the people around us may not always understand our dreams, but that doesn't mean we should stop pursuing them. At this point in the story, Maggie is about to face the biggest fight of her life. What would you do if your dream was on the line? Would you take the risk, or would fear hold you back? Let me know in the comments below. The night of the fight is tense, with both Maggie and Billy fully aware of what's at stake. From the first bell, it's clear that Billy is as vicious as her reputation suggests. She throws illegal punches, fights dirty, and shows no regard for Maggie's safety. Maggie takes hit after hit but refuses to give in. She's fighting not just for a title, but for her dignity, her identity, and everything she's worked for. Frankie guides Maggie from the corner, offering advice and helping her navigate Billy's ruthless tactics. For a while, it seems like Maggie is holding her own. She finds moments of strength, landing powerful punches that knock Billy off balance. The crowd begins to cheer, sensing that Maggie might pull off the impossible. But then, in an instant, everything changes. As Maggie turns to walk back to her corner between rounds, Billy delivers a brutal cheap shot, an illegal blow that sends Maggie crashing into the corner stool. The force of the fall snaps her neck, and she collapses in the ring, unconscious. The arena goes silent as Maggie is rushed to the hospital. The news is devastating. Maggie's spinal cord is severed, leaving her paralyzed from the neck down. For a fighter who has spent her life relying on her physical strength, this is the cruelest blow of all. Her dream of becoming a champion is over in an instant. In life, we sometimes face moments that change everything. No matter how prepared or strong we think we are, there are times when things go wrong. Maggie's injury is a stark reminder that life is fragile, and sometimes the things we work hardest for are taken from us in an instant. But it's also a reminder that true strength isn't just about what we achieve, it's about how we face the unexpected and how we handle the moments that test us the most. As Maggie lies in the hospital, her family finally shows up, but not to support her. Instead, her mother, brother, and sister arrive with selfish intentions. They don't come to comfort Maggie or offer her any emotional support. They come to get her to sign over her assets, including the house she bought for them. They're worried about their welfare benefits and are more interested in Maggie's money than in her well-being. Maggie's mother, in particular, is callous, showing no empathy for her daughter's condition. She scolds Maggie for not thinking about how her injury will affect their financial situation. This moment is heartbreaking for Maggie, who realizes that no matter what she does, she will never get the love and approval she craves from her family. But Maggie doesn't let this define her. She refuses to sign over her assets and, in that moment, cuts ties with the family that has never supported her. She understands that love and loyalty are earned, not demanded. As Maggie's condition worsens, she knows that she doesn't want to live the rest of her life confined to a bed, unable to move or take care of herself. She asks Frankie to help her end her life, to give her the peace she can no longer find. It's an impossible request for Frankie, a man who has always taught his fighters to never give up. But Maggie's plea isn't about giving up, it's about finding dignity in the face of an unwinnable battle. After days of soul-searching, Frankie finally agrees. He goes to the hospital late one night and sits by Maggie's bedside, telling her the meaning of the nickname he gave her, Mo Quishel, which means, my darling, my blood. It's a term of endearment that shows how deeply Frankie has come to care for Maggie. In that moment, she is not just a fighter, she is family. With tears in his eyes, Frankie turns off Maggie's ventilator, giving her the peace she asked for. It's a heartbreaking but beautiful act of love, one that shows that sometimes, letting go is the greatest act of care we can offer. Maggie's journey is one of the most powerful stories of determination, grit, and love. Her dream of becoming a boxing champion wasn't just about winning titles, it was about proving to herself and the world that she could rise above her circumstances. Even in her final moments, Maggie faced her reality with dignity and grace. Her story teaches us that life is about fighting for what we believe in, even when the odds are stacked against us. In the end, Maggie lived her dream, and her legacy is in the heart she put into every moment. Like Maggie, we all have the power to fight for more, to push ourselves beyond what we think we're capable of and to face life's challenges with courage. What are you fighting for? What dreams are you chasing, and how far are you willing to go to make them a reality? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. In the next story, you can ask yourself what would happen if you relived the same day over and over again.